Welcome back to a new episode of Marvel Man 901. In this episode, I'm going to talk about the High Evolutionary and his origins. We can see the High Evolutionary in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. His real name is Herbert Edgar Wyndham, and his first appearance was in The Mighty Thor, issue 134, from 1966, and it was created by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby. Why I want to talk about the High Evolutionary is because in the next episode I'm going to talk about the Evolutionary War. His origins is actually published in the annuals from 1988, which is also the Evolutionary War. His origin starts in 1928, where Wyndham was experimenting on rats using radiation trying to get a mutation going. He was somewhat successful with his genetic accelerator, but not overly. He was invited to the International Conference on Genetics in Geneva, where he met Jonathan Drew, the father of Jessica Drew, otherwise known as Spider-Woman. After the conference, he meets a mysterious stranger who gave him blueprints for breaking the genetic code. He was studying the blueprints very hard, but his grades started to suffer, so he decided to show the school board his machine in order to remain at school, the genetic accelerator. But as it wasn't fully functional, he was expelled. At home, he managed to evolve a dog. However, this dog ran out and got shot. Now later on, he visits Jonathan Drew with his family. We can also see the young Jessica. And they basically told him that they had inherited a house and land in Wundagore, or close to the Wundagore mountain. And they wanted to know if he wanted to move there, helping them financially as well, of course, but buying a part of it. He naturally agreed. So Jonathan and Herbert actually found some uranium at the mountain. And later on, Wyndham actually meets the stranger once again, who showed him that the subterraneans could be used as cheap workforce for his machines. The next day, Jessica faints and is very sick. Her father gave her a spider extract in order for her to live. However, the incubation period of this was much longer than her lifespan, so Wyndham used his genetic accelerator to help the process and then placed her in a stasis. John's wife was killed during the night as well. After this, John naturally leaves. His wife dying and his daughter being sick, he was just too much for him. Wyndham was attacked by a werewolf, the same werewolf that actually killed John's wife, and so he decided to build his armor. His very iconic armor, and pretty much became the High Evolutionary. He found the werewolf basically eating on one of his subterraneans, defeated it and captured it. It actually turned out that this werewolf was Baron Gregor Rossoff, actually the father of Jack Russell, who later on would be Werewolf by Night. He continued to evolve animals into new men, also evolved Bova, who would be later on fairly important in some respects anyway. He taught the new men to talk and write, and later on he was met by someone who was using John's body, who basically warned him of danger at the mountain. This somebody was Magnus, who would later on be Spider-Woman's mentor. He told Wyndham about his past. He was born in 500s, fighting Morgan Le Fay and Cathan. He also told the High Evolutionary about Cathan, being the elder god, very evil, and basically being buried in Wundagore. So the years pass, and High Evolutionary builds up his Knights of the Realm, using a medieval kind of theme. He still won't listen to the warning about Cathan, but when Cathan started to rise, during which a woman who was pregnant with the twins actually showed up and gave birth to Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver. Anyway, the Knights continued to fight Cathan, and it turned out that Baron Rossoff was the one who was reading the Darkhold, basically bringing forth Cathan. Magnus, however, managed to enter Rossoff's body and stop him, stopping Cathan as well. However, Cathan managed to have some heavy influence on Scarlet Witch. Many new men died during the fight in Cathan. Bova showed up with the two babies, basically told High Evolutionary that the mother had left, and then Magnus as well started to leave as he was finished. The High Evolutionary called for Robert and Madeline Frank, who were actually the Wizard and Miss America from Allwinder's squad and the Invaders of the World War II. Madeline was pregnant as well, but she died in childbirth and gave birth to a stillborn child, which caused Robert to leave. The twins were then passed on to Django Maximoff. Now the years pass, and apparently High Evolutionary built a spaceship inside the Wundagore mountain. He took it to flight with his new men and found an Earth-like planet. However, the new men started to fight him, and eventually, with the help of the Hulk, the High Evolutionary actually decided to evolve himself further, becoming the ultimate being, pretty much a being of pure energy. After traveling around the universe, he eventually devolved back to human again, because apparently he wasn't psychologically ready yet. He decided to create a counter-Earth. An Earth was pretty much the same as ordinary Earth, but having some differences, being off the other side of the sun. But the counter-Earth was actually becoming more and more infested with evil, as the new men started to rally around Man-Beast instead. Adam Warlock showed up, and the High Evolutionary actually was convinced not to destroy the counter-Earth by Warlock, if Warlock could cleanse the planet of evil. Many years pass, Galactus fights the High Evolutionary, and later on actually the planet, counter-Earth, disappears. Warlock believes the High Evolutionary had destroyed it, and so he slayed the High Evolutionary. Now some time pass, and Kismet, otherwise known as Her at this time, used her powers to give the High Evolutionary life back again. Turned out that the counter-Earth was actually being stolen by the Beyonders for them to use it in a museum. The High Evolutionary were fairly okay with that, but believing himself to be fairly much of a god, he realized that he was nothing compared to the Beyonders when a gigantic celestial hand took the planet. This caused the High Evolutionary to become very depressed, and he wanted basically to die, so he forced the Hulk to kill him. However, being as evolved and having such evolved armor as he had, the High Evolutionary was pretty much renewed again. At this time, he realized that he didn't want to be alone. He wanted to have same evolved people as him around himself. So, the plan for the Evolutionary War came here by evolving humans. So that is pretty much what caused the High Evolutionary to start the Evolutionary War, and it was also his origins, which you can see in the annuals of 1988. Thank you all for listening. Check in with my next episode where I talk about the Evolutionary War, and I hope you've enjoyed this. Subscribe and share.